you have an example of someone that you have for networking?
I've got two examples. I'll start with a crazy example that I actually posted about on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago, where a friend of mine, Marco, who's a really cool dude and would make a spectacular podcast guest as well. He's also dabbled in podcasting and videos. And him and I were having a chat, and he asked me a very specific question about connections that he was looking for. And no one had ever asked me this question. And I just happened to have a lead list of qualified leads that contained 416 company names, email addresses, and cell phone numbers. And I'd never used it myself. And I just had this document. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. I don't want to give the game away. But because it was something that I couldn't really use myself, I said, hey, Marco, I've got this document. You're welcome to use it. So I turned one quick conversation into 416 leads for someone. And it was just a random occurrence and a bit of a full circle moment, because I'd had this document that I hadn't used for a couple of years. And it just completely blew his mind, and he's off to the races in terms of connecting the dots there and trying to make stuff happen in terms of his online marketing and meta ads. So that was quite a crazy example. And these types of connections, you can't really plan them. Sometimes they just happen spontaneously. Sometimes they just happen out of the blue. And another one happened where a friend of mine who's on a WhatsApp group with me, on a different networking group, she posted that she needed some advice in terms of the structuring of her company and the structuring of the shareholding and things like that. And I'd recently connected with another friend of mine, and I said, you need to speak to this person. And fast forward about 2 weeks later, we met up at an event, and she came running to me from the other side of the room at this networking event. And she gave me a big hug, and she had tears in her eyes, and she was so grateful that I'd connected her with this person. And then she explained the whole story about what was actually going on in her company and the ups and downs and things like that. And I was just completely blown away. I mean, I didn't know the entire backstory. She'd posted this short little blurb on WhatsApp, and I just responded. I said, hey, I think you should talk to this friend of mine. And she did. And I was so proud of her. I said, well, thank you so much for following up in that, because a lot of times connections happen and people say, hey, speak to this person or speak to that person. And then we never end up doing that. And then you lose that magic, you lose that connection. So yeah, those are two recent examples. There's been countless examples over the years. And in terms of my business, not every connection I make or introduction I make is going to bring me an income necessarily, but I still do it because I still believe the universe works in your favor when you are doing the right thing, when you are living with your hands open and sharing the best that you can.